So welcome to Swatantra Education. In this lecture we are going to introduce the concept of methods. Suppose we want to find the sum of the integers from 1 to 10 and 20 to 30 and 35 to 45. Now we can write the code in this way: int sum equal to 0, then int I equal to 1, I less than equal to 10, I plus plus, sum equal to sum plus I, then print the value of sum from 1 to 10 is sum. So here we are going to print the value of sum that is computed from 1 to 10. So like this: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to plus 10. Now again we want to find the sum of the integers from 20 to 30. That means we want to find 20 plus 21 plus 22 plus 23 plus ... 30. So here we have written the code for this, like I equal to 20, I less than equal to 30, I plus plus, sum equal to sum plus I, and the variable sum is going to print or display the value of the sum from 20 to 30. Similarly, suppose we want to print or we want to find the sum of the integers from 35 to 45. So in this way we can write, so for I equal to 35, I less than equal to 45, then I plus plus. So here you can observe, and this value of sum is like this: 35 plus 36 plus 37 plus ... up to 45. Okay. And each time we are initializing the sum to 0. Initializing the sum to 0. Now you can observe this one, this part, and this part, and this part. So the first one we are computing the sum from 1 to 10. In the second one here we are computing the sum from 20 to 30, and here at the third one we are computing the sum from 35 to 45. So here you can observe, except this starting value of I and ending value of I, the rest of the part of the code is same. So here the starting value is 20 and ending value is 30. Here 1, 10 and 35, 45. So except the starting value and ending value, the rest of the code to find the sum are same. So it would be better if we write the code once and reuse that multiple times instead of rewriting the code repeatedly. Here we are writing the code to find the sum of the digits from 1 to 10, here from 20 to 30, here 35 to 45. Now instead of repeatedly writing the same code for 3 times, we can write a common code and reuse that code to compute the sum of the integers from 1 to 10, from 20 to 30 and 35 to 45. So to write a common code and reuse that code for multiple starting values or for different starting values and ending values, we need to understand the concept of methods. So using methods we can write the code once and reuse that multiple times. Then how to write this code? Now how to write the common code that can be used by different starting values and ending values to find the sum of the integers. Now here we can write int sum equal to 0, similar to the previous one. Here we have written, you can observe, int sum equal to 0, this one. So the same thing we want to write. So int sum equal to 0, then for int I equal to, previously we are writing I equal to 1, I equal to 10, I equal to 20, like that. Then I less than equal to 20, I plus plus, sum equal to sum plus I. Then system dot out dot println the sum from 35 to 45 is sum, or the sum from 10 to 20 is sum. So we can write this, the sum is plus sum. So instead of writing from 10 to 20, we can write the sum is sum. So here you can observe, we are giving the starting value of I as 10 and the ending value of I is 20, and we want to find the sum of the integers from 10 to 20. So if we want to write a common code to compute the sum of the integers of different starting values and ending values, so instead of writing some particular value 10 and 20, we can write a common value instead of 10 and 20, like it is A and it is B, you can write. So this code is going to find the sum of the integers from A to B, and let us complete this one. So till now it is not complete, so to make this complete, we can write public static void, then add and int A, int B. This is opening curly braces and this is closing curly braces, or we can say this is the start of the method and this is the end of the method. Now here you can observe these public and static. So this is called as the modifiers. So why we are writing public, why we are writing static, we will discuss later. But these public, static, these are called as modifier. And what is void? So void is return value type. So return value type means the method may return a value. So the data type of the return value here we need to write, and if the method is not going to return anything, we can write void. So here you can observe this method is not going to return anything, that's why we are writing void. Now the next one, add, is the name of the method. So this is the name of method. So here the name of the method is add. Now int A, int B, so these are called as the parameters of the method. Now the first line here, public, static, void, add, int A, int B, so this is called as the header of the method, or you can write here So this one is the header of the method. This public static void add int a int b. So this one, this black box, and these lines that are written within the curly braces, or you can say within the opening curly braces and closing curly braces. So it is called as the body of the method. Now this method add is going to compute the sum of the integers from a to b and print the value of sum. Now this add and int a int b, so this is called as the signature of the method. This part, add and the parameters, so this is called as the signature of the method. Now this int a int b, these are the parameters. So the parameters, or we can write in this way, the number of parameters, plus their type plus the order. So these three things are called as parameter list. So here you can observe this int a int b, combinedly we can say this is parameter list. So we can consider this one here, int a int b. So these are called as the parameter list, or we can ignore the values of the actual parameters. So int, so these are called as the parameter list. Then what is the signature of the method? The signature of the method is name of the method plus the parameter list. So we can write name of the method plus parameter list is the signature of the method. So we have written add int a int b. So this is the signature of the method, and the parameter int a int b, modifier, body, return value type, name of the method. So this is the whole thing we have discussed. Now suppose this method is going to return a value, suppose integer value, then how to write this one, or how to update this? Now if we want to update this method so that this method can return a value, so how to write that one? So here we can write the method like this: public static int add int a int b. So this int is the return value type. That means this add method is going to return one integer value. That's why we are writing this int. Okay, so we can write here int sum equal to 0. Then we can write the for loop for I equal to a, I less than equal to b, I plus plus, sum equal to sum plus I. Then after the loop we can write return sum. So here what is the type of sum. What is the type of sum? The type of sum is int, because we have declared here int sum equal to 0. So the type of sum is int, that's why we are writing int here, because this method age is going to return the type int, or we can say the return value type is int, and the close. So you can consider, so both the method are similar. Here we are writing the return value type is void, and we are printing the value of sum here, but in this method we are returning the value of sum and the return type is int. So if the method is not going to return anything, then the return type is void, and if the method is going to return something, then that return value type is written here before the name of the method. Okay, so now how to write the complete program? So how to write the complete program that is going to use the method or the common code to find the sum of the integers between a and b. So you can see here the complete program. So the program execution always starts from the main method. So when this line gets executed, so this statement system.out.println the sum from 1 to 10 is add 1 10. So here the add method gets called, or we can say here we are calling the add method. So when we call the method add, the control comes here. The control comes here, and the value of this one is passed to here, and the value of the next one is passed to here. So now the value of a becomes 1 and the value of b becomes 10. So here we can say these 1 and 10, these are the arguments, and this int a, b are the parameters, or we can say the placeholders. So when the actual arguments are passed, then this a and b are going to receive these arguments, or we can say these a and b are the placeholders for the parameters. So here a and b are the placeholders for the arguments. Okay, so here the value of a is 1 and the value of b is 10. Now we know how to compute the sum from 1 to 10. So int sum equal to 0, then for int I equal to a, I less than equal to b, I plus plus, sum equal to sum plus I. So in this way, in this loop, the value of sum is going to be computed. Now when this condition becomes false, the value of I becomes 11. So when the value of I becomes 11, this condition becomes false, and the control comes here. Control comes here means return sum is executed. So when the return sum is executed, the sum value is returned to the method that has called this add method. So who has called this add method? The main method called this add method. So the control comes here. So when this method add finish its task, the control again comes here. Then here the value of the sum is going to be displayed. So it is going to print like this, the sum from 1 to 10 is add 1 to 10. So I think it is 55. Now again the second line is going to execute. So when the second line, after this line completes its execution, the control comes to the next line. So system.out.println the sum from 20 to 30 is add 20 30. So when this method is called add 20 30, the control comes again here, and the value of 20 is passed to a, the value of 30 is passed to B. So now the value of A becomes 20, the value of B becomes 30, and following the same procedure it is going to find the sum from all the integers between 20 and 30 and return the sum. So when this return sum gets executed, the control again comes here and it prints the sum from 20 to 30 is the value that is returned from here. Now when this statement again executes, the system.out.println the sum from 35 to 45 is add 35 45. So when this add method again called here, the control comes to this method and now the value of A becomes 35 and the value of B becomes 45. So again the method computes the sum of all the integers from 35 to 45 and returns the final value of sum. So when the value of sum gets returned, it gets printed here. Now consider another example. Suppose we want to find the maximum of two integers. So how to write a method to find the maximum of two integers? So we can write in this way, like public static int and assume the method name is max, then the parameters are int A, int B. Now here in the body we can write in this way, if A greater than B, then maximum equal to A, else maximum equal to B. Then we can write return max, and here before if A greater than B we can write int max. So int max, if A greater than B, maximum equal to A, else maximum equal to B, return max. So it is a simple one to find the maximum value. Or we can update the code like this, so we can make it simple. So instead of writing max equal to A, max equal to B, return max, here simply we can write if A greater than B, we can write return A, and else in the else part we can write return B. So let me remove this one also, it is not required. Okay, so here you can observe the name of the method is max, int A, int B are the parameters, and the return value type is int, because this method max is going to return A here if A greater than B, and the return type of A is integer. Similarly, if A greater than B becomes false, this method is going to return B. The type of B is also int. That's why the return type we have written int. Now we have defined this method max in this way. Now unless and until we call the method max is not going to execute, or you can say the method is not going to execute unless we call the method. So we need to call this method max for its execution. So let us see the complete program here. So class test public static void main, we know that the program execution starts from the main method. So public static void main system.out.println, the maximum of 10 and 20 is maximum 10 20. So here we are calling the method max and passing the values or giving the values 10 and 20. So when we call this method here, the value of 10 is passed to A and the value of 20 is passed to B. Now the value of A becomes 10, the value of B becomes 20, and here it is going to return B, that means 10 greater than 20 is false, so the else part is going to execute. So in the else part it is going to return 20, so this value becomes 20. Now system.out.println, the maximum of 10 and 20 is 20, it is going to print. Now in the next line here the maximum 65 and 35 is maximum max 65 35. So when we call the max method here, the control comes to the max method, the control comes to the max method, and the value of 65 is passed to A, the value of 35 is passed to B. So we can say here A value becomes 65, B value becomes 35. Now if A greater than B, so it is 65 greater than 35, it is true, so return A. So return A means 65 is returned to here, or we can say it is going to display the maximum of 65 and 35 is 65. So when the method executes the return statement, the method is going to finish its execution. So when it encounters a return statement, the method is going to finish its execution and the value is returned to the caller method. So here which caller method? So the main method is calling the max method, so the value is returned to the main method. Now consider another example, that is to find the area of a circle. So we know that the formula to find the area of a circle, if the radius is given, like we can write area equal to pi r square, or we can write in Java math.pi into r into r. Then how to write a method to find the area of a circle? So we can write in this way. First the modifiers public static, then double, because the area may be double, and the method name is find area, then it is double r, you can consider. Then we can take another variable double ar, that is equal to math.pi into r into r. Then we can write return ar. So ar is the area that is computed from the value of r. Or we can directly write, instead of writing this double ar math.pi into r return ar, we can directly write return. So in this way also we can directly write, instead of these two lines, we can directly write here return math.pi into r, we can write in this way. Okay, then and curly braces. So either you can write this two statement or you can write this single one, no issues, the same thing. Now we need to call this method to get the area. So for that you can see the complete program here. So import java.util.scanner because we are taking the input from the user, that's why we are importing the scanner class. Then class test public static void main scanner IP equal to new scanner system.in. So we have already discussed these things. System.out.print enter the radius. Now RAD is the variable that is going to store the received value or the input from the user. Now double area equal to find area RAD. So find area is the name of the method and RAD is the argument. So here when we call this method, then the control comes here to this method. So when we call this method find area and passing the value RAD, the control comes here to this method and public static double find area double R. So here the value of R is same as the radius. Now double AR equal to math.py into R. So the value of, so when we call this method find area RAD, the value of RAD is passed to this value of R. Now return AR like we have discussed. Then when this return AR gets executed, the control again comes to the color method and the value is assigned to area. Now system.out.println the area is area. So this value is going to be displayed. So now let us consider another example, that is to check whether a number is even or odd. So we know that how to get whether a number is even or odd. So if we divide a number by 2 and the remainder is 0, so we can say that number is even. And if we divide the number by 2 and the remainder becomes 1, we can say the number is odd. So for example, consider 6. So if we apply 6 modular division 2, what will be the result? So the result will be 0. Or we can say if we divide 6 by 2, the remainder will be 0. So if the remainder is 0, we can say the number 6 is even. Similarly, consider another number, suppose 15. So apply modular division 2, what will be the result? The result will be 1. So we can say the number is odd. So we can say 15 is odd. Now suppose consider another number, that is 23. So modular division 2, what will be the result? So it is 1. So we can say 23 is odd. Similarly, for any number n, if n modular division 2 equal to 0, we can say the number is even. And if n modular division 2 equal to 1, then we can say the number is odd. So we can write the same thing in a method. So we can write if consider the number as x modular division 2 equal to 0, then we can write system.out.print the number is even, or simply we are writing even. Else means if x modular division 2 equal to 1, we can print system.out.print odd. So here we are writing else means if we apply modular division 2, then we are going to get two values, that is either 0 or 1. So if it is 0, then even, and the other value is 1. So we are not going to get any other value except 0 and 1. So 1 is 0, so we are writing even, and else means if x modular division 2 equal to 1, so the number is odd. So we can complete the method like this. So we can write the header public static void and assume the method name is even underscore odd then it is taking the parameter x. Now so here we are writing void, means this method is not going to return anything, that's why we are writing void, and the name of the method is even odd. So we can write the complete program and call this method even odd from the main method. So you can see the complete program here. So here you can observe the public static void main. So it is one method. Main is also a method, and scanner IP equal to new scanner system.in, then system.out.print enter a number. So it is going to display enter a number on the screen. Then int n equal to ip.next int, that is the user input is going to be stored in variable n. Now even odd n, that means we are calling the method even odd and we are passing the value n as the argument. So when we call this method even odd, the value of n is passed to x. The control comes to here. When we call this method even odd n, the control comes here and the value of n is passed to x. So the next statement gets executed if x modular division 2 equal to 0, then the input number is even, else, that means if this condition is false, it is going to print the input number is odd. Now when this method finishes its execution, the control again comes here and here it is curly braces. So the main method is finished, or we can say the program is going to finish, and here it is the class end of class test. Here this is end of main, this is end of even odd. So we can write this one like this: end of main method, here it is end of method even odd, and here this is end of class test. So here this is even underscore odd, not hyphen, because hyphen is not allowed in an identifier name. So here even underscore odd, so this symbol is underscore, don't consider this as hyphen. Okay, so this is one example of void method. So void method, because this method is not going to return anything. Similarly, now we can understood why we are writing void main, because the main method is not going to return anything, that's why we are writing void main. So let us consider another example, that is find the sum of the digits of a given number. So we have already discussed this problem while we were discussing loop. Now suppose any number is given, consider 7436. Now if we apply modular division 10, then we are going to get 6, or we can say we are going to get the digit that is at the unit place. Now if we apply division 10, then we are going to delete the rightmost digit, or we can say the rightmost digit is going to be discarded, or the digit that is at the unit place is going to be deleted. So we are going to get 743. Now again apply modular division 10 on 743, so we are going to get 3. Now again apply 743 division 10, so we can get 74. Now repeat the same procedure, 74 modular division 10, we are going to get 4, then 74 division 10, we are going to get 7, then 7 modular division 10, we are going to get 7. Now 7 division 10, we are going to get 0. So now here we will stop. So once we get a 0, we are going to stop. Now here we can see we have extracted the digits like this: 6, then 3, then 4, then 7. So once we apply the modular division, we are getting one digit. So we can add these digits to find the sum. That means we can update the value of sum like this. So sum equal to sum plus this number modular division 10, like this. So we can write the program in this way. So for that, first we can take the value of sum equal to 0. Then what is the loop continuation condition? Because we need to repeat these things. So what is the loop continuation condition? The loop continuation condition is the value of n not equal to 0, or while n greater than 0, we are going to apply this division and modular division. While the value of n not equal to 0, we are going to apply this modular division and division. So when we get the value of n as 0, so at that time we are going to stop, or we are going to terminate the loop. So for that we can write while n greater than 0. That means while n greater than 0, we are going to apply the modular division and division, or we are going to continue the loop. So that's why n greater than 0 is the loop continuation condition. So if n greater than 0, so what is the remainder? So the remainder is equal to n modular division 10. Now we want to add this remainder to the sum. So we can update the value of sum like this: sum equal to sum plus remainder. Now update the value of n so that the loop continuation condition becomes false, and the loop continuation condition eventually becomes false, and the loop is going to terminate. So how to update this value of n, that is equal to n by 10. Here you can observe. So 743 by 10, then 74 by 10, then 7 by 10, like this. So now complete the loop. So we have already discussed this in detail while we are discussing loop. So if you are facing any difficulties, you can go through the loop lectures. Okay, now we can write a complete method for this. Public static int, assume the method name is sum underscore of underscore digits, then the parameter is n, then here we are going to return the value of sum. So after value returns, we are giving the closing braces. So here you can see this is the loop. So in this loop we are computing the value of the sum. So sum here represents the sum of the digits, and now this is the method, and here the method header, or we can say the complete method is like this. So now you can see the complete program that uses a method to find the sum of the digits of a given integer. So here the program execution starts from the main method. You can observe public static void main. So here all the methods, that is main method and sum of digits method, are written inside one class, that is test. And later on we are going to, or in future we are going to discuss how to use or how to write the methods in different classes. So now we are writing all the methods in a single class. Okay. So public static void main, we know that the execution of the program starts from the main method. Then this line gets executed, scanner IP equal to new scanner system.in. So it creates a scanner object. Then system.out.print enter a number. So it is going to display enter a number on the screen. Then int n equal to ip.next int, that is the input from the user is stored at the variable n. Now int sum equal to sum of digits n. So here the method sum of digits is called and the value of n is given as argument. Now when we call this method sum of digits, the control comes to this method and the value of n is passed to here. Now int sum equal to 0, while the value of n greater than 0, int remainder equal to n modular division 10, sum equal to sum plus remainder, n equal to n division 10. So the loop is going to continue and it is going to compute the value of sum. So once the value of n becomes 0, the loop is going to terminate and it is going to return the value of sum. So once this statement return sum gets executed, the method finishes its execution and again the control comes here. So where it left. Now the value of sum is assigned to this sum and it is going to execute the next line, that is system.out.println sum of digits of input number is sum. So these things are going to display on the screen, that is sum of digits of input number is, so the value of sum is going to be displayed. So this is the complete program. So you can test it in your machine. Now consider another example. So assume this is a program. So in this program we have one method increment and we have another method main. So two methods are there inside a single class test here. We can start the execution from the main method. So first line is int n equal to 5. So it creates a variable n and the value is 5. Now system.out.println before method call plus n. So it is going to display before method call plus n, that means the value of n. So it is going to display on the screen like this, before method call the value of n is 5. Now the next line, that is increment n. So when this increment method is called, the value of n is passed to here and the control comes here. So n equal to n plus 1, that means the value of n becomes 6. So previously it was 5, now it becomes 6. So then the next line gets executed inside method call plus n. So it is going to display inside method call plus n, means the value of n, that is equal to 6. Now once this statement gets executed, the end curly braces, that represents the end of method increment. So once the method increment completes its task, again the control comes here and the next line is going to execute, that is system.out.println after method call plus n. So it is going to display after method call the value of n. So what is the value of n? So it is going to display 5. So why it is 5? So in the main method, the value of n is different, and here in the increment method this n is different, or we can say in the main method when n is initialized to 5, the variable is stored in a different part of memory, and here in the increment method when the parameter n is created, that is here the parameter n is stored in a different part of memory, or we can say this n is a copy of this n. So here this black color n is the n in main method, and this red color n is the n in increment method, and this red one is a copy of this black one. So these two n's are different. So here in the increment method we are updating the value of n to 6. So we are updating this to 6. So if we make any change here, then that is not going to affect the original one. So this is a copy of n. So if we make any change to this copy, the original one is not going to be affected. So this value of n is not going to be changed if we increment this value. That's why the output is like this. Now let us consider another example, that is the method to find the GCD of two numbers. So we know the Euclid's algorithm to find the GCD of two numbers, that is like this. So GCD of A B equal to GCD of B A modular division B. So this is the formula given by the mathematician Euclid, or we can say this is the Euclid's algorithm to find the GCD of two numbers. Now consider the two numbers are like this, 25 and 40. So GCD of 25 and 40 is equal to GCD of 40 and 25 modular division 40. So that is equal to 25. Now GCD of 40 25 is same as GCD of 25 and 40 modular division 25, that is 15. So it is same as GCD of 15 then 10. So it is same as GCD of 10 and 5. So it is same as GCD of 5 and 0. Now when we get this value as 0, this value is the GCD. So here what is the GCD? So here the result, or we can say the GCD of 2540 is equal to 5. So we have already discussed this concept while we are studying loop. Now we can write this inside a loop. So how to write this using a loop? So what is the loop continuation condition, or we can say where we are stopping. So the stopping criteria is this one, when this value becomes 0. So we can write in this way, the loop continuation condition is like this, while b greater than 0. So if the value of b is not equal to 0 or greater than 0, then we are going to find the temporary value, that is equal to a modular division b, then a equal to b and b equal to temp. That means we are swapping or making the value of b, or we are assigning the value of b to a, and we are assigning the value of a modular division b to b. or we can say inside the loop we are updating the value of a and b, and when this value of b becomes 0, at that time the value of a is the GCD. So here when the loop terminates, we can write return a. So a value is the GCD. So we can add the method header like this: public static int, assume method name is GCD, and it is taking two parameters, int a and int b. So this is the complete method to find the GCD of two numbers. So we can write the complete program, and here you can see the complete program. So scanner IP equal to new scanner system dot in, enter two numbers, so int a, int b. So the first input is a, the second input is b, and int result equal to GCD of a and b. So when we call the method GCD a b, the control comes here, and the value of a is passed here, and the value of b is passed to here. And you can consider like this a and this b are the copy of this original a and b. Now int temp, so while b greater than 0, temp equal to a modular division b, a equal to b, b equal to temp. So this thing we have already discussed. Then when the loop terminates, that means the value of b becomes 0, at that time return a. So a is the GCD. So when this statement return a gets executed, the control comes again here, and the value of a is assigned to the result. So now it is going to display system.out.println the GCD is plus result. So it is going to display the GCD is the value of result. So if the user inputs 25 and 40, so it is going to display the GCD is 5 like this. Now here you can observe we are isolating the computation of GCD from the rest of the code. So here we are computing the GCD, and using the concept of method, we are isolating this part from the rest of the code. So if we follow this approach, the quality of the program is going to improve. So the first benefit we are getting, the quality of the program is going to be improved if we use method, is going to be improved. And here you can see it is easy to read, because here we are calling the method and this part is computing the GCD. So the program is easy to read, Now the second one, the third one, the errors in computing GCD are confined to this part only. So it narrows the scope of debugging the errors, or we can say it is easy to debug the program. And like we have previously discussed, so if we use this method, then the code can be reused, So these are the benefits of methods. So we can isolate the code, or we can isolate the computation from the rest of the code. or we can isolate some part of the code from rest of the code, and hence the quality of the program is going to be improved and it becomes easy to read, easy to debug, or we can say easy to find the errors. And if we use methods, the code can be reused. So that we have discussed earlier, or while we are introducing the concept of methods. So these are the benefits of using methods in programming.